Okay, let's see. Go ahead and take that away. Hi. Hi, everybody. If there is anybody out there, is there anybody out there? Hi, Clinton. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. I'm having a pretty good day. You know, can't complain. Hi, Holly. Hi, Brian. See, I told you I'd be here to chat with you, Holly. It's good to see you. Hello, Brian. God, where in StreamYard does it tell me how many people are tuned in? Okay, so we're right around 9-10 people. Hey, how's it going? Well, complaining might not help, but sometimes it's necessary to move through things. Sometimes you got to complain to get to the other side. I'm okay with complaining a little bit, as long as I don't stew, as long as I don't keep myself too locked into the complaints area. Hello, Daniel. Good to see you. Francois. Hello, hello. Nice. Thank you all. I was just thinking, I wanted to do this because when I was starting to kind of like put together, my idea for all the, it's like a whole menu of things that I could do. And, now that I'm kind of doing things on an independent basis. And one of the things that I knew I wanted to do was have some sort of a weekly something, some sort of that would be my ambition, my desire anyways, is to set up some sort of a recurring kind of like weekly chance to just talk to you all and let you know how things are going. And yeah, because like I have been so used to working in an office and in a studio with other people that this is a big change. I'm just kind of here, in my own soup, jumping from task to task, wondering, is is it working? Is there, is this leading somewhere? That's the hope anyways. So, and I just really, one of the things that I love about doing what I've done for as long as I've done it is the community around it. So, this is a great way to connect with you all and kind of give you some insight into where I'm at, what I'm doing. I also gain a lot by talking with folks like you who are so connected to the work that I have done that, you sometimes will say things that will like make me think, oh, wow, that's right. I could be focusing on that. So anyways, hi, Ant. Thanks, man. How you doing? If you, by the way, Ant, I have the ability to bring you into this call if you wanna. Just saying. If you give me the thumbs up, I'll send you a link because a hangout with just me is fine, I guess. But a hangout with me and you, that's a win right there. I just hope that I have my whole setup in place. I feel like every time that I come into this room to do anything, it's starting over because this room is not too big. It's not like crazy small, but it's also not too big. And so I don't always have this particular camera setup in place ready to rock and roll. I have to kind of like move things around and look back there and go, oh, well, that lamp that you can't see because it's out of the frame because it looked weird right in the corner where it normally is, normally like right there. And I have to make all these little tweaks. Like I had to like route, my microphone normally goes into an audio interface, an Apollo Twin X by Universal Audio, which I love. But so then I have to like reroute my microphone into this unit on top of the camera that brings in my audio without any latency. Because the last time I did this, I fed audio through my system and it worked, but there was latency. So I see Ant, I understand. Ant says, I'm on my laptop right now doing some prep So I look and sound bad. I don't believe you. I don't think you look and sound bad. I think we come as we are. That's the beauty of what we're doing right now. We are who we are. You're changing your set too. Cool. Well, I can't wait to see what it turns into. I have no doubt that you're going to be able to come up with a rockin' set, Ant. You've got the skills. I'm just learning this stuff as I go. Oh my goodness. I am literally starting from square one. Maybe not square one. It's not like I haven't been surrounded by this technology for a long time, but you know, and I wondered this while I was at Twit for as long as I was, like, there was a time in my career where my job was setting all this stuff up and getting in there and getting dirty and like, oh, well, I guess I got to figure that out because I need to know the next time someone says I need, this particular light on me, I need to know how to set that up and everything. And then in the last handful of years at Twit, I became a full-time host. And then the last couple of years I was host/producer, but still not very technically involved, technology involved. And so a lot of the things that I'm familiar with, just takes some reacquainting myself with it. So, but you've stuck with all those skills, Ant. So I have no doubt your set's gonna look awesome. Let's see here. Brian, hello and welcome, Brian Deere. No, this is not the converted garage. So for anyone who doesn't know, because I've mentioned it a few times, this is the den, the downstairs den in our house. If I could easily turn the camera that way and not think that it might actually mess everything up, then I would. So, but I'm not going to, because I really don't want, like, I finally got everything all set up and in place. And so I don't want to undo it. But the den has an open portal with no door whatsoever directly into the kitchen. And then keep walking a straight line. And then you're in the dining room, and right around the corner from the dining room is the living room. So this room is not at all sealed off from any of the chaos that happens in a family of four, plus two ginormous dogs. So doing all of my shows from this room is really challenging, especially like Android Faithfuls at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And that is prime time. My wife, that's, we have a schedule around who makes dinner on what days and everything. That's when, the Tuesdays is one of her days. So she's in the kitchen making dinner, because we all need to eat. And the kids are coming and going because they've got their sports and everything like that. And then the dogs are restless. And, I'm sure at some point you're going to hear Bronson pitter patter through the place because I didn't get him out for a walk this morning. And at a certain point, he's going to start rebelling and maybe even chewing up a Tiva, which is what he did yesterday. Literally bit off all the toe area and ate it of a Tiva shoe, a pretty new Tiva shoe. Having puppies, it's like having a baby. I mean, it just really is. I mean, that's what a puppy is. It's a baby dog. And so anyways, that's my long way of saying, no, this is not the converted garage. But there is some kind of like, for me, little disheartening news around that. And you'll see lighting change because like I don't have that window blocked. Maybe I need to do that to control the lighting in here, but a cloud must have rolled over. So sorry, it'll get really dark and moody and then it'll get light. So my wife works in the garage. She's on, like, literally on the other side of this camera. There's a door that goes out to the garage, and it is a converted garage. And she has been working there since COVID. Her business in San Francisco shut down, so she moved her business up here. She's been doing great. It's an awesome space for that. But she wants to move into an actual facility or like rent a space in town with another person and kind of expand it a little bit. And if and when that happens, then yes, I would be moving into the garage. We'd have to do some tightening up of the space to soundproof it and sound dampen it and just kind of, but I'm looking forward to that if that happens. The problem is, she told me very recently, like, babe, I've been looking around and it is really expensive to rent a place. And it's not like she's unfamiliar with us. She used to own a business in San Francisco, a facility in downtown San Francisco. So next to Union Square. I mean, we're talking, and she was in business. They were in business for like 8 years. So they made it work for 8 years. And so she knows what she's getting into. And in San Francisco, things are crazy expensive. Here in Petaluma, not nearly as much. But, it just comes down to like, are you willing to spend, take the business that you have. Are you willing to take $1,000 or $2,000 out of that every month to have a facility that is away from, our house or the garage where she works now? That is a hard thing to be okay with, making that change. And so if that doesn't happen, then that means I don't move in the garage. Hi, Vinky. Hello, Vinky Poo. Sorry, I should say your full name. That could be your actual full name. And so a little disheartened by that. I really hope it happens because there's a part of me, like, I hope it happens because like today was a prime example, setting up for this thing. Damn, it is so dark. Oh, well, there's not a whole lot I can do about it. Here, let me try something and then I will continue that thought. Let me see, y'all. Where is the light that I'm looking at? No, that's as bright as it goes. Okay, my lighting's not ideal in here. Sorry. So let's see here. What was I saying? Oh yeah, today was a prime example, like setting up for this, right? I gave myself, like 45 minutes and I was right up to the wire because, everything, there we go. The sun came out. Everything is, requires kind of pre-set up. Things are in place, but I need to connect them. I need to reroute them and stuff. Nothing feels settled down here. And that's what I really want. I want things to feel settled. I want things to feel like they have their place. It's all turnkey. So I could come down here. I could just flip a switch, maybe a couple of switches. I'm cool with flipping a couple of switches and just do something like this. Or, if I want to, I've got some devices that I'm in the process of kind of figuring out how do I do device reviews now? And, how do I want to shoot them and all this stuff? And this space is so confined that like in order for me to get behind the camera that you're watching through here to like mess with the color balance and stuff, like I gotta make sure my little finger goes around just the right way to get that tiny little button. And, like I'm late 40s now, so my eyesight isn't what it used to be. This is one of those moments where I'm like, dang it, I'm getting older. Aren't we all? So then I got to find my glasses and put them on. And even then I'm like, ooh, maybe did I hit the button? And everything feels like if I don't move in this very like specific predetermined way, careful way, it's all going to fall apart. I hate that. Vinky Poo, you thought I was late 20s? Thank you. I appreciate that. You're not the only one to tell me that. So I take that as a compliment. I appreciate that. We all will be someday, Clinton. We will all be. Every day we all get older, right? There's just no denying that. Time is a precious, precious resource. If there's something that I can say about the last month, that really rings true for me. Time is such a precious resource. I only have a certain amount of time in my week to do things. And the fact that I launched AI Inside a couple of weeks ago with Jeff Jarvis, let's see, would this be the opportunity where I plug AIinside.show? The fact that we launched that a couple of weeks ago and we launched it successfully, I'm really happy with the numbers. Like I'm so grateful that I'm in a position where I can launch a podcast and right out of the gate have solid numbers. Like I'm really happy with the numbers on it. I wasn't sure kind of how that was going to go, but, oh God, I just totally redirected myself. Time. There are so many things, like just creating a show and doing all the things that is required to sustain a show and a brand new show at the very starting base. That's a lot of work in and of itself. But then on top of that, I'm also building everything else around that, the whole infrastructure of everything that I'm doing. And I have to like think about how I want these things to go. One of the challenges that I'm facing right now is like I mentioned, a few minutes ago, I've got a couple of devices that I'm going to be reviewing. I'm like, what is my strategy? What is my approach? Do I want to continue doing what I've been doing, which is I spend my time with a device and then I bring it on to Android Faithful and I talk about it loosely for about 10 to 15 minutes and then I move on? Or do I want it to be kind of like a multi-pronged thing? Do I want to bring a device on Android Faithful and talk about it? But that's not the in-depth review. The in-depth review is something that's made for YouTube. That's like your standard or maybe substandard, because I would want to, set myself apart potentially. But I think at the beginning, I almost have to copy just to get my feet under me. But approach it from like a more produced kind of interesting way and see what I can do there. I haven't done that style of review, at least not 100% in my own kind of, execution without a team behind me. And all of these things take time, because it takes time not just to do it and not just to set up all the pieces and do the actual review, which is what I'm so used to doing, but all the technical production of that. It takes time to learn all of these things, because like I have Premiere and that's great. I can edit with Premiere, but I'm not like modern video editor. I feel like younger producers now have grown up in the last 10 years learning how to edit video, aren't just learning how to edit video. They're learning how to edit video and learning how to master After Effects and work on all of these like graphical things that all that stuff takes time. It takes time to learn it. And so I think the big challenge has been like just using AI inside as an example. That's one show that I successfully launched in the last month, which I'm proud of it. Don't get me wrong, but just managing and maintaining the things required for that show takes so much of my time and so much of my effort that I have to fight to make time to learn, and then, learn the things that I don't know or research enough to understand the path that I actually want to go. And then at the end of the day, it's like, was that time well spent? Because sometimes I can get to the end of the day after all that and be like, man, that was a wasted day. Like all I did was sit around and read articles and like think about things instead of like executing. And I realize that's kind of a flawed way of thinking, because, where else are you going to go? Where else are you going to start? Let me acknowledge some of the people who have come in the last 10 minutes or so. Red October, always be learning. Totally agree. Vinky Poo, you have been prolific since you joined. Thank you so much. And joining on Twitch, which I don't see a whole lot of movement on Twitch so far, but it's early. Cinder Fractal. Welcome, Cinder. Good to have you here. Wild West Dan, yay. Good to see you, man. Thank you for your support. You've been really supportive, and I really do recognize that and appreciate that. Tom, I will get to you in a second because you're asking a question. Let's see who else. Patrick De La Hanty. What's up, Patrick? It's good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. Holotape. Good to see you. Daniel Stark. Daniel, what general industry is my wife involved in? The health industry. So she is a practitioner of a modality called muscle activation techniques, which is about muscular imbalances. And she's been doing it for close to 20 years. She was one of the earliest. Yeah, I think it's safe I think she was the first person in San Francisco, if not the Bay Area, to pursue and kind of be cleared for it and start practicing. So she's been doing it for a really long time. She doesn't have to advertise. She's pure referrals, and she is always busy. So I respect her so deeply. And you know what I really respect about her? Many, many things, but she, like me in this moment, at one point, she was always working for other companies, other fitness companies. And at some point she said, I'm going to go into business for myself, as so many entrepreneurs do, but have no background in it. And it really is just about like jumping off the ledge and sink or swim. And I mean, she has swam She is so good at it. I'm always kind of looking to her and just hoping like a little bit of that rubs off on me. But it's great because, she helps me think about things and kind of, work on structure and stuff like that. And said, reach out to Sound Assured if you're in need of acoustic foam. They'll be happy to work with you. Cool. GIK Acoustics is where I've gotten a lot of my stuff in the past. And then sometimes I find them on the side of the road. Seriously, these sound panels? These were discovered. I did not buy those things. They are amazing. And they were like put out to trash. I don't know why I'm admitting that, but it's true. Like they were meant for a facility. The facility was filled. They had no need for the leftovers. And so they put them out to trash. And so they're in perfect condition. And I was like, oh, well, I could use those. So anyways, pretty lucky. And I have Burke at Twit to thank for that because he clued me into that opportunity. Okay, Tom, Zach says, what keeps you excited about Android these days? Well, yeah, because I've been with Android for a really, really long time. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a couple of things. I think the form factors have been, I think Android is leading the path when it comes to still trying to innovate and get creative with form factors. Apple, obviously, don't get me wrong, their approach works, right? The iPhone is not hurting. They're doing all right. And maybe someday we'll start to see foldables coming from Apple. I don't know actually what the tea leaves are reading there, but Android is and has been and continues to. And I think that's really something that I love about the platform. Some things about hardware have gotten really stale and boring, but that is still kind of pushing the boundaries. And, there's still some risk taking happening there. Whether we all need foldables, I guess that's another question entirely, but I'm happy that they're doing that. And then I think, in general, software that, and especially right now with this kind of uptick in things like generative AI and on-device AI processing and stuff, the movement of the market right now is in a really interesting position that has me excited about what comes next and what we'll see this year and beyond. I think software innovation right now on mobile phones is going to continue to be a really cool kind of thing to watch. So those things are keeping me pretty excited. Let's see here. So Tom, thank you for being here. Thank you, No Average Joe. I appreciate it. I really do. I hear from a lot of people who say something like this, you deserve success, and it really does make me feel really good. Yeah, thank you. I have moments where I think anyone in this position would have moments of feeling pretty insecure about this whole, moment right now. Where on one hand I feel capable, but on the other hand, it feels like a really tall mountain to climb. And I'm at the beginning of it looking up. And yeah, it feels really nice to know that I have a community of people who are so incredibly encouraging through it all. I feel pretty fortunate to have folks like you continuing to tell me these things, because it really, I'm not just blowing smoke. It really does save me sometimes to see those comments, because I've certainly had moments in the last month where I'm like, oh my God, this is so much. Like, it's so much starting over. And I know that I'm capable. I know that I'm I know that I'm smart and could do this, but it's just a lot to process and a lot to learn. And, I feel like I'm constantly faced with avenues that I don't feel immediately proficient in. And I realize you can learn it, but like I said earlier, time is a valuable resource and there's not unlimited amounts of it. And I run out of time and I'm like, damn, am I doing the right things so that 6 months from now I'm okay? Or will I look back 6 months from now and realize the ways I could have done it differently and should have done it differently because it didn't work? That's I think my biggest fear. But I really do. I see comments like this and I so appreciate them because they really do help me continue forward. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, Wild West Dan, I'm on Twitch too. Not many people watch me on Twitch, but it seems like there's some Twitch activity happening today, mostly because of Vinky Poo. And it's great to hear from you, Vinky Poo. Your handle cracks me up. Marty. Thank you, Marty. Yeah, it's been a long time since CNET. Holy moly. Yeah, speaking of CNET, I don't know if you all saw that I was in LA with Ron Richards, of course. Met up with Tom Merritt and Eileen Rivera, Tom's wife, and the founding host of All About Android with me and Ron, and it was pretty awesome. We had a really wonderful afternoon. Like it was, let's meet up for lunch, and we ended up going to, I think it was like was it a Korean ice cream shop afterwards? We were in Koreatown in LA. I don't know if I'm getting that right because LA is just LA to me. I'm so LA illiterate. Sorry. And I know that we had Korean fried chicken, which was yummy. And then I think we went around the corner and went to an ice cream shop that I think was like a Korean ice cream shop. So anyways, it was really great to hang out with them and catch up and kind of talk a little business too, kind of chat with Tom about the challenges of where he's at. I mean, it's so impressive to me that he has built what he has around him. And it's been 10 years. It's crazy to think that it's been 10 years, but it has. What an operation he has. Such a thing to like look ahead to as a possibility. Then the like worry and the doubt can creep in because I start thinking, well, have times changed, right? Was the time to do this 10 years ago? And I guess you can always say that, right? Like the best time to start is 10 years ago. The second best time to start is now. So, whatever. We'll see. We'll see how it all goes. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see here. Wild West Dan. I'm intrigued. I haven't read the full question, but I saw a serious question just this once, so I have to read it. Is there anything we as a community can do to help take things off your plate, even if we're just volunteering to pick up some slack every so often? Oh, I don't even know how to answer that question. You ever find yourself in a position where you're like, everything's so busy. And then someone says, hey, can I help you out? What can I do? What can I do? Sorry, I'll mute my computer. And you're like, to try and figure out how you can help me adds another layer to it. I guess the answer right now is I don't know. I can realize right now that's what's coming up for me is, sorry, I've got allergies, is that, I think it's really hard for me to ask for help. It's been something that I've worked on a lot the last 5 years. I don't know if anyone has followed kind of on social media, I've done a lot of kind of emotional work, a lot of, I've done some therapy. And then I've also been involved in a men's group through the Mankind Project. And that's been just a lifesaver for me. But that's one thing that's really come up with the men's group is the challenge I have around asking for help, and not just asking for help, but accepting it, right? Because I might not ask for it, but I might be given it, and embracing that the help, that someone is offering help because they truly want to help, not because of like pity or, you know what I mean? Like it is different levels, but so I think that's something that I have to think about. I think one of the things that I'm struggling of the many that you'll hear me talk about is this Discord. And for those who don't know, I do have a Patreon, a personal Patreon, which is patreon.com/Jason Howell. I do also have one for AI Inside, which is patreon.com/AI Inside Show. And through those, I have created and, worked on a Discord community because I really do want to kind of like foster a community around everything that's happening right now. And yeah, Discord's a whole beast in and of itself. Talk about time suck. Like just getting it to the point that it is right now has taken a lot of time and some investment, I might add. But that's a full community that I would love for there to be something appealing about it that brings people back, that starts a conversation. And some of that feels a little out of my realm. Like I can participate in a community, but like, and I'm doing some things to the Discord to try and, I don't know, give it some life, give it some personality. I actually met with, from Twit, Anthony Nielsen, friend from Twit, who created the Twit Discord, I believe. Anyways, he's done a lot of work with the Club Twit Discord. And he and I spent an hour and he just went over a bunch of stuff and I implemented a lot of the stuff that we talked about. And so I'm really happy with that. But, like the management or the not that it even really needs moderation right now, because there's not an insane amount of people that are part of it. But, those are things that when I look at others, when I look at people like Tom, and even when I look at, outfits like Twit, community is helping to manage or moderate and things like that. And I suppose that's a need that I have, but I don't know. It's so hard for me to come up with an answer to that. Can I promise to get back to you on that? See, there's a part. See, I end up feeling like, oh well, it's my challenge to figure out, not put it on to somebody else. But I realize that's my knee jerk like resistance to accepting help or accepting the offer of support. When I was starting in the men's group, for those of you who aren't familiar with Mankind Project, they have these things called iGroups, and it's basically like, recurring, regular kind of opportunity to get together with, the same group of men and, just really talk about what's going on in your life and talk, a large emphasis on feeling and your emotion, and you're not approaching the meeting through from a mental state of this happened and I think it's wrong or blah, 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 but more moving from your head down into your heart so you can actually get a sense of how the things in your life impact you on an emotional level, which as men, we often have a hard time doing that. I certainly, have fallen in that category. And so it's been really, really helpful for me from that perspective. But they've got the iGroups, and then they've got this weekend that you can go to that really kind of drives home the values that Mankind Project is really all about. And, at the time I really wanted to go. I didn't have the money. There was one coming up, and, one of the men in the men's group, this guy, Bill, who I respect and adore deeply, said, well, I think what you need to do is I think you need to, stand up in front of the group and tell them this, and you'd be amazed at what happens. And it was really hard for me to do that. It was really hard for me to, the next group stand up and essentially make, make a pitch and just basically say, hey, this thing's coming up. I can't go because I don't have the money. I'm hoping for some support to make it happen. And then I watched as the entire room, every man raised their hand. I got $50. I got $100. I got $50. I got $20. Blah, 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 blah. Boom. I had the money. The only requirement was that, when I came back, I told them how I felt, and I learned a lot through that experience about letting people in and letting people support. But it's an ongoing process. And this moment that I'm in right now is, I'm learning a lot from it. Anyways, that's a little side thing. Let's see here. Sorry, I realize I'm really behind on a lot of this stuff. Jason, what do you think about Samsung's new offering? I will tell you soon. I've got a Ultra that I believe is being shipped to me sometime soon. Hi, Bronson. Are you getting bored? Are you getting impatient? Hold on, my dog is staring at me. Here, hold on. Come here. Oh my God. This is my dog. Hold on. There he is. He is like human size at this point. I never in a million years thought I would have a dog this big. Hold on, buddy. And he's just going to go through here and he's going to look for things that he can chew on and stuff. Yes, you're going to have to settle down because I will take you out at 11, okay? Yeah, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. Yes, you are. He's like a baby. He's a baby with fur. And a very large baby. So I'm curious. I think Samsung always does a really good job with their Ultra series, especially. So I'm looking forward to that. And also really kind of curious about the Galaxy Ring because I would totally wear that, just for sleep tracking. I know that my sleep is not good. I'm always fighting to get 8 hours of sleep. I've realized at this point, I've come to the fact that I feel better when I get 8 hours of sleep. For many, many, many years, I told myself I could operate on 5 or 6 hours of sleep and I would stay up late. And now, like, I am regularly getting into bed at 9 o'clock, which feels early to me. I mean, which in the past would have felt early to me, but like legitimately at 8:30, I'm like, all right, I'm tired. I'm ready for bed. Like I actively look forward to it. Wake up at 5, go to the gym. My schedule is just different. Anyways, what was my point? Oh yeah, that's right. The Galaxy Ring. So but I know that my sleep is bad, and the thought of wearing like a wearable to sleep, to track my sleep is not at all appealing to me. I just don't like the feeling of something on my wrist while I sleep, but I could do a ring. And, so I'm super curious about that, but I am very, excited to get the Ultra. I don't know when I'm going to get it, probably in the next week or two. And then I'll do, I'll spend time with it. And then I get to kind of like check out like how I want to do reviews in this new world. Like I said earlier, do I do like a brief kind of like loosey-goosey podcast review on Android Faithful and then do like a full treatment kind of hardware review for YouTube for the channel that you might be watching this on. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I would like to do that because I would like to challenge myself and be like, okay, well, could I do that? What would it look like? And what are the things that I could learn? Like I've actually been watching some other kind of YouTubers out there to get a sense of like, what is their style, their approach, not to ape it, but just to like broaden my perspective. Cause I've been doing them for so long, a very specific way. And I don't know, I want to try some new things. And, with trying new things, I might also fail. So anyways, so that's coming. Hello, Pat from Ireland. Thank you for your support and your encouragement. I appreciate it. Marty says, going in on focusing properly on AI with Jeff is a great idea. Topics guessed, its evolution into our lives is endless. Yes. So AI Inside. So let's talk about that a little bit. I'm really happy with it. The numbers have been excellent. dare I say, they've been better than I think I anticipated out of the gate. I wasn't certain how it was going to do right out of the gate, but I'm really happy with it. Obviously, there's plenty of room to grow, but I think, God, there are so many people that, this is where I realize I'm blessed, right? Because there are so many people that launch a podcast and they go years getting 10, 20 downloads an episode and stuff like that. And they're fighting tooth and nail just to get that, into triple digits or whatever. And so that's where I realized, like, I'm very fortunate to, come from a company like Twit that has a base of fans and people following the work, because it means we can launch a podcast and immediately have, a good chunk of fans, a good chunk of downloads and stuff. And I love doing the show with Jeff. We're having a great time. Jeff has been such a godsend in bringing guests to the show initially, because I have been doing all the other technical stuff, spreading myself very thin. So he's been really great at, like, oh, well, what about blah, 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 I'll reach out, or you can reach out to, like this week we have Nurit Weisblatt, who we've had on some of the betas of AI Inside, also had her on Twit at one point a couple of years ago, or Twig. No, it was Twig. And so she's coming on next Wednesday. And so that takes a little bit of the pressure off of me initially. But I do want to bring on some, kind of change a little bit of the, what's the better way to say this? Add more variety to the topics that we're doing. The last couple of episodes have been very heavy in the journalism and media AI kind of impacts. And that's not a bad thing. It's really important, and it's super fascinating. But personally, I want, and I think Jeff wants this too. He's told me, he wants variety as well. We want to go, broad spectrum. Like, what are the other facets of the world? Like, I would love to find someone to bring on to talk about AI and education, because like I was at my 10-year-old daughter's classroom. I go into the classroom every other week and I help with homework, filing and grading and stuff. And in the classroom on the other side of the door, it was art, and they had a special teacher in there for art that was perfect. And I went in there to, kind of do something. And one of the 10-year-old kids raised his hand. He was like, "Can we use AI for this assignment?" And it just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of stopped me for a second. I was like, man, even 10-year-olds, like, they get it, right? Like, it really is like magic. And it's this thing that just wasn't as possible the way it is now. And, that's not a reason to vilify it. That's not a reason to legislate it out of existence because it changes things. I think it's an opportunity to learn with it and create new norms. And I don't think we have much of a choice, because 10-year-olds are growing up knowing that this is an option. They're kind of, they're going to figure out ways to use it, whether people want it or not. I think it's the same challenge with, like, writing papers. What are you doing, dude? Branson, what are you trying to get? You see some food under the couch or something? I feel for teachers, because they're in a position where things have been steady, more or less, as far as, did this work come from the student? No, buddy, no. You do not bite the rug. No. Even when he's in trouble, he's cute. Yes, you are cute, but you do not do that. That's not okay. I feel for teachers. They're in this moment is such a challenge. And I want to say a problem for them to figure out, because I do think that it is a problem for them to figure out. But I don't think that we yet have figured out, and it might be a bit of time before we get there, how modern education respects modern technology, in the sense that AI is not going anywhere. Whether classrooms want this technology to exist or not, like it's gonna. So how do you, and future job roles and, I don't know, prosperity, like it or not, is probably going to depend on some of these skills. So how do you teach a student with that new kind of evolving reality? And as a teacher right now, that's got to be really, really hard. I think some teachers are just, doing away with homework because they know that if you're in the class doing the work, you're not using AI to generate. CR Poll says yellow gold. Really? Nothing better came to mind? Well, at the end of the day, it was like, what do I want to pick? There's infinite names when you're naming a business. And yellow gold, one word, by the way, not two. It's just kind of like a personal brand. And so when I thought about it, I was like, well, why not? Like, does it have to have the word tech in it? Like, that kind of pigeonholes me. I don't know. Kind of sounds like you don't like the name, but can't please everybody. But thank you for being here, CR Poll. Consumer Compute, hello. Good to have you here. Boy, there's a lot of things on this list. I am so far behind. I just now scrolled down. I'm like, holy cow, you guys, 35 people watching. Thank you so much. Okay, I can't obviously read all of these because there are an insane amount of them. Maybe I'll attempt to do a speed round. How do you find the combination of using Android and a Mac? I have no problems with it. I don't really do a whole lot of things. Bronson, no. Oh, he is so rebelling right now. He's like, take me for a walk. I have no issues using Android and a Mac, but I'm not really using my Android in tandem with the Mac, right? Like if I had an iPhone, they have feature sets that kind of interweave between the platforms, and I'm not doing that with Android and a Mac. So Mac is my computer platform. Android is my mobile platform. And the two only really interoperate through like a browser-based system like Google Drive or something like that. So that's where I'm at. Let's see here. AI is too imprecise a term as it is presently being used. I'd be interested to know how Yellow Gold Studios thinks the term applies. Yeah, I think we're figuring that out because you're right. AI is a very hot buzzword. Every company is looking for a way to work that buzzword into their business plan, into the way that they communicate to customers what they do, so that no one thinks that they're left behind or being left behind or not up to date with modern trends and whatever. Yeah, somebody did suggest, I can't remember if it was through the Patreon or where, because I'm getting feedback from so many different directions, but somebody did suggest an episode where we kind of talk about that and where we kind of talk about maybe the misconceptions around AI, like what actually is AI when you're hearing it all the time, like is it being incorrectly used, and like how can we determine that? I think it's a really great idea, and I put it into my idea bank. So I think this would fall into that category. Wild West Dan, I do not hear from Gina. Every once in a while I check in with her. I've had reasons, for when I was producing at Twit to bring her onto Twig, reach out like, hey, would you be interested? And I don't really hear much back. I think she's just really busy. But yes, I do miss working with Gina. Let's see here. Okay, I got to scroll down a little bit so I can get a little bit more up to date. So, internet, sorry, sometimes it's hard to scan through. Well, Vinky Poo asks, what's your Discord? So when I was creating my initial Patreon, patreon.com/Jason Howell, I was like, I gotta have something in here that people get that that they don't get otherwise. And so the Discord seemed to make sense. So it was kind of like, here's a community of people that, can be, I don't know, connected to what's going on right now, and give them the status of founder, so that they were there from the beginning, which I'm eternally grateful for. And then same with AI Inside. So right now the Discord is really specific to people supporting, because I had to figure out ways to kind of make the support, the paid support, make that valuable to people, or give them something, a little something extra. It's just one of many things that I've been learning. It's like, what can I promise? How do I deliver on that promise? Ooh, how do I deliver on that promise? I saw a thing from Alex Kantrowitz on LinkedIn yesterday or the day before, where he was talking about, kind of like subscriptions and his experience with the Big Technology podcast and the Big Technology newsletter. And by all accounts, Alex is doing awesome. He's so great. He's one of my favorites. But he was kind of naming like really important things to remember when it comes to subscriptions and community and everything. And, offer something of valuable, offer something of value, something like that, offer something of value, and then deliver on that promise. And that keeps ringing in my head. I'm like, okay, AI Inside, patrons of a certain level, I've promised a monthly kind of like hangout that's specific to them. And then also one piece of original content to start. Like, I got to get my feet under me. One piece of original content that doesn't go out on the podcast feed. And, so my thought there is like, well, maybe I do a video that's like about AI tools or something like that. Hi, Sugar, my other dog. So like if I'm using a tool, or what tools do I use to do my podcast work, and, kind of produce something like that. But that's a promise I've made, and I got 12 of those to deliver a year. And I may or may not have Jeff Jarvis on board for those. Like, I made those promises, not really checking in with Jeff, but fully knowing that like, if he's too busy, which it's totally fine, then those are on me. And like, I'm okay with that. Bronson, no, you puppy, you. So, make the promise, deliver on the promise. That's where I'm at right now. I got to start delivering on those promises. Yellow gold butterfly. Oh, hey, Wario. Are you the real Wario? You're like famous. Good to have you here. Let's see here. Yo, says the Amp wrote, the Pixel Watch 2. I don't think Fitbit understands that I'm not stressed. I always log it and say content. I've only marked frustrated maybe once or twice. Yeah, I don't do any of those features. I hardly even use my watch for like fitness tracking. I just don't care. Like, my Pixel Watch 2, I continue to wear it. I think part of the reason I continue to wear it is because I have a charger set out for it, which in the past, it's been like, it's not like I didn't have a charger plugged in, but right now I have it in a place where I am all the time. And so, I keep putting it on there. And I'm getting so many notifications lately for so many different reasons that it actually is very to have it on my wrist and get that. There have been other times in my life where I hate that, where I'm like, you know what? I don't need to be notified about every flipping thing that happens on the internet. Want to have a chat about spam your links in chat. You might want to have a chatbot to spam your links in chat. You mean in Twitch chat? Is that what you're talking about? I do have a chatbot in my Discord that monitors all the different places that I'm creating or releasing content. So like my Substack, if I update that, it gets put in there. AI Inside, Android Faithful, this ended up in there. All that kind of stuff. So Patrick, you've mentioned getting Andrew Main on the show, and I have not forgotten about it. Yes, I will be doing that, or rather, I will be reaching out and seeing if Andrew, almost called him Android, if Andrew wants to come on the show. Thank you for the reminder. I have not forgotten about it. It's on my list, and I'm like, okay, this is part of the community that I need to kind of rope in. You know. Thank you. Patience is a good thing. I appreciate that, Cinder. Thank you. Double J, what's up? Good to see you. Let's see here. Sorry about the little lulls. She uses as her chatbot. Sorry, I'm kind of flipping through here. I know it's almost been an hour. I don't need this to go too long because I, as I have mentioned, do have stuff that I need to do. Actually, I'll tell you about what I'm doing right now. So right now, what I've been doing this week, and I put out a little post about it earlier this week on Substack, is trying to get organized, create an organization system. Because now things are, like I said, AI Insight, just as one example. One piece of content a month that's separate from the podcast feed, one hangout. I want to do more of these. So that's, a thing. All of these needs, AI Inside the episode on Wednesday, Andrew Faithful on Tuesday, any of the product review things that I'm going to be doing, all that stuff. If I don't get it on a calendar or get some sort of system built around this, I know me very well. I'm going to drop the ball at some point. I'm going to forget about it. I have to create a system that keeps me on track. Otherwise, I will miss details. So I've been looking into some of the systems and apps that allow you to do that. At the same time, the folks at Android Faithful, we have been looking into an organizational system for something like this too. And we actually had a meeting yesterday about that. And I think that we're probably going to go with Trello. Trello seems to be the winner right now. Win Twitdow, one of the hosts on Android Faithful, she worked at Trello for a long time. So, she's familiar with it. Michelle Rahman is familiar with it. I'm not. Any of these systems, I've hardly used them. Little bits here and there. And then Ron has used, I think, some of them, but he was really open to exploring all the options. So we're looking into those things. It's really, for me, it's personally, it's about creating a content calendar so that I can look at it and be like, okay, well, on Wednesday, that thing happens, which means on Monday, this needs to happen so that it's ready by Wednesday or whatever the case may be. So that's what I'm working on right now. And so it is a lot of research, and it's a lot of playing around with the tool and setting it up and being like, is that going to work if I create this template and blah, 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 blah. And it's just a whole lot of guesswork, or maybe I'm watching a couple of videos to see how other people do it, to get some ideas. And that's where, if I spend too much time doing that, then I start to feel like, am I wasting my time? Am I actually, that's the weird, fuzzy line is, am I doing something productive or am I procrastinating? Because sometimes research feels like procrastinating. It's well, instead of researching, why don't I just do it? And if it doesn't work, then change it. So it's finding the line that I can draw between those two things can be kind of challenging. Hey, Ozone Nightmare. Hey, Jason, curious if you think that getting laid off during this tech layoff turbulence made the decision to go independent easier. If the industry was in hiring mode, would that have changed things? That's a really good question. Man, you must do a podcast because that's a podcast question. I know you do a podcast. Would that have changed things? Probably not. I had already kind of decided that I wanted to do something like this. I wanted to try it at least. Will it be successful? I don't know. But I mean, I think I mentioned this on the last, office hours, but I was actively working on a plan to set some of this stuff up and eventually to leave my job at Twit and go independent. That was my plan. And, in fits and starts, I'd been working on it for a couple of years in my own time, never on Twit time. because I kept thinking like, okay, am I at Twit until I retire? And I think it was pretty obvious the answer was no. I mean, I suppose that could happen, but I didn't know that I was willing for that to happen because, I'd done so much there, and it was like, well, what else can I learn? Like there must be more for me to learn. There must be more challenges for me to face. Things were getting really comfortable and that was great, but it kind of felt like taking my foot off the gas a little bit. And I didn't want to comfort myself to irrelevance, if that makes sense. And, it's important for my family. That's important for my sanity. That's important. So I think if the job, well, but I will say, if the scenario was different and people were hiring left, right, and center, and an opportunity was presented to me that I couldn't say no to, absolutely, I would have done something different. I would have been like, okay, well then I guess I'll do that right now and see how that goes. And then I can go, if I really feel the need to do independence, because it doesn't work out, then whatever. But my plan kind of all along was to do the independent thing. So good question. Really good question. Modifying levels on Patreon. Don't worry about doing that, says Holly. Yeah. So Holly, you continue by saying, I've had some I signed up for that just never did the stuff they said, which was frustrating. And I really want to be sure I avoid that. I do not want to not deliver on the promises that I've made. And I will say, like with AI Inside, it's a little easier for me to deliver on the promise because I made specific promises. I said 1 hangout, 1 piece of content a month. That's really the extra work that is involved with that Patreon. With mine, it's a little looser. It was because it happened so fast. And it was like, well, I'm out of work. People are asking how they can support. I guess I'll just spin this up and I will be sure when I set up these, set up the Patreon, because I think it's just 1 level. I think it's just a $5 level. I don't think I went any deeper than that. Just to say, like, I don't have any specific plans here. So your support here means it's like you're funding my transition. And I'll try and, do my best to kind of like rope you in and give you some insight, share with you some of the decisions that I'm making. So like the logo for Yellow Gold Studios, I published that into the Patreon before anybody else saw it because I had a few options and it was like, well, help me choose. Like, which one do you like? Same for the art for AI Inside. So I'm looking for those ways, but it's a little looser. So I'm constantly asking myself, like, are people like fed up yet? Like, well, I supported Jason here, but he's just really not doing anything. Why am I doing this? And, I want people to only support me for as long as they feel comfortable, but I don't want them to not support me because I gave them an expectation that I'm not delivering on. I definitely don't want that. Dude, what are you doing? I know. Don't worry. We're going to do some training. I'm going to train you in a little bit. How do you like that? Yeah. So anyways, that's a really, really good point. And I really do want to I don't want to disappoint people in all of this. Ant says, I hear Trello and those other tools and I get PTSD from my software QA days. Man, I don't miss my time in IT. I could totally see that. Yeah. I think the challenge with those tools from my perspective is I haven't had enough experience with those tools to immediately feel comfortable with them. So it's all uphill for me. And it's so easy for me to fall out of a habit when I don't have that habit established. I guess it's not unique to me. That's, for everyone. And so I think for tools like that, the only way you get the maximum benefit out of them, or at least I think for myself, the only way I'm going to get maximum benefit out of them is to set up a system and force myself to stick to it for X number of months. And if at the end of a couple of months, I'm like, okay, this really isn't helping, then I can, change it, but really kind of commit to it. Right. I think that's the only way I'm guessing that's the only way you really get to a good outcome with those things. So Um, hey, Ray. Ray Toth says, love Android Faithful. My Samsung Watch had Wearcast podcast app. Oh, okay. Wearcast podcast app now on Watch Show. So I don't need the phone open, and you can do more on its own. Not what the company wants. I think I'm reading that correctly. Cool. I haven't used either of those apps. I don't really listen to my podcasts on my watch. I do it through my phone. Okay, we're rounding things out here. Thank you for being here, Ray. It's really great to see you. 36 viewers, almost concurrently for the last half hour, I'd say. So that's pretty awesome, you know? Appreciate it. Last few comments here. About half my Patreon support goes to people that I don't expect anything regular from. I just want them to be able to keep doing what they want to do. And that's amazing. Ozone Nightmare. Yeah, this as a person running some Patreons at this point, that's I know people like you exist, and that's absolutely amazing. And yet I still find myself wanting to please in that regard. You know what I mean? Like I don't like, really, at the end of the day, like my personal Patreon, I'm just guessing, but if I did nothing with that Patreon, I'm sure there is a percentage of people that would just continue contributing and they'd be fine with it. And like, you know what I mean? It's like on autopilot. It's not that much money. It's $5 a month, you know, and they'd be like, whatever, you know, like I know I've had Patreons that I've supported that have kind of gone that way too. But I don't, but I want to deliver something. I want for there to be something there, you know, that people are like, okay, I'm happy I'm supporting him. And hey, I get something nice too, you know, like that's what I want. So, but I appreciate that. And I know that you're not alone. I know there are a lot of people that just say that say that because they mean it, right? Like I'm not here for extra things. Like there are some people like some people, their thought on Patreon is don't offer bonuses, because at the end of the day, you're already creating something like, you know, with AI inside, we're already creating a weekly show. So the Patreon is just like an extra way for people to support what you already do. And some people, that's just how they feel. That's the approach with Patreon. And it really works for some people. You know, they have a lot of patrons and, you know, make a good chunk of money even from that perspective. But, you know, it's just different for everybody. I don't know that I'd feel comfortable not giving a little something, you know, and hopefully it's not like a throwaway something. Hopefully it's something that's like, okay, I was happy before, but I'm really happy now. So. All right. Carrie. Hi, Carrie. Thank you. Thanks for putting yourself out there and doing it. I've listened to your voice, watch your work for years. Thank you for such long-term support. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Good to see you. Okay. I think I got to wrap this up though, because otherwise my dog's going to start chewing up the carpet. He really did. I mean it. He ate a Tiba yesterday. Like if the shoe was normally like this, when he was done with it, it was like that. So he's going to be pooping Tiva later. Yeah, well, that's kind of what we're doing now, Cinder. We have towels. It's hard because at the front door is 2 rows for shoes. One side is my wife and I's shoes, and the other side is the girls' shoes because we're a shoes off household. And so it's like a buffet. It's a Bronson buffet. And we've started draping a blanket over each side. And when they're out of sight, they're out of mind. He doesn't go like under the blanket to try and find them. But you let your guard down once and the Tiva gets eaten. So it's just the way it goes. He's a puppy. We're working on him. Okay. All right. Well, I feel better having talked to you all. So thank you. I really do appreciate you spending part of your Friday with me, all 33 of you at this point. But I am going to wrap it up because I do have to get the dog out, and then I have to do some work before I got to pick up the kids and wash, rinse, repeat. Sometimes it feels like Groundhog's Day around here. But thank you dearly, deeply from the bottom of my heart for your support, and your presence, and offering so much for me to read and talk about, and all the things. Yes, Patrick. If you do feel so inclined and want to, follow the work we're doing, or I'm doing, but I guess, Jeff's doing it also with AI Inside, yellowgoatstudios.com. So that's a URL that actually just redirects you to the YouTube page right now. I am working on getting a website because I want to kind of get a little bit of a home for like all the different content, because AI Inside is Yellow Goat Studios, but Android Faithful is not. I also want to kind of like display a little bit of kind of like my portfolio, if I do have one of those things, kind of put that together. Anyways, so at some point this will redirect to the site, but for right now it points to the website, or to the YouTube page. Patreon.com/Jason Howell if you want to support me directly. Thank you. It's just really business support. It's supporting me set up everything that you have heard me talk about for the past hour. And then, of course, the show we just launched, AIinside.show, me, Jeff Jarvis, people of all, different stripes about AI in many different ways. So that's what we're doing. Big thanks to all of you for spending your time with me today. And just really, really great to see all the support and feel it. So I will do one of these again soon. Like I said, I'd love to do this on a weekly basis, maybe not a full hour on a weekly basis. That is a lot of time. Like I gotta work a schedule that works for me. And I feel like if I'm doing a little bit more of these, maybe we can do like a 30-minute, and we have just more opportunities to do it. But yeah, so I will set that up, and I will see you next time. And thank you. Oh, and thank you for sharing that out, Red October. That's amazing. All right. This could keep happening. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you real soon.